Today, we're going to talk about portrait photography with minimal equipment. And the reason I added that is because I'm a lazy person. I'm type A, I'm crazy and lazy. But I don't want to carry tons of lighting gear. I don't like assistance. I want to keep it simple and make it manageable so that I can get a nice shot of someone without having to cart a truck full of stuff. And it was interesting because a friend of mine who's a photographer looked at some of my images about 5 years ago and said, "How are you doing that? Where's your flash?" I go, "On camera." He goes, "No, can't be." I go, "Yeah, it is." He goes, "Who assisted you?" "Nobody." And the thing is, you don't have to have all that to take a nice shot. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is taking good portraits without having tons of gear. Although I guess they'd love to sell you tons of gear here, and God knows I spent enough money on it. But that's what we're going to talk about. So today's lesson: how to take nice portraits without the following: mega studio strobes, boxes of light stands, umbrellas, soft boxes, assistance, and massive expense and frustration. Because I find that a lot of these cause that. If you have an assistant and they're not doing what you want, and they're not holding the reflector right, like, or if you have gear, like you got your pocket whizzers and they're not triggering correctly, or you're using the infrared on the Canon flash and it's not working and you just want to pull your hair out, I don't have any. So I can't do that. So I want to talk about what we do. So I prefer to work alone and quickly. Time is money. When I shoot a portrait, and unless you have a really patient model who doesn't mind shooting for 4 hours, they generally want to get their picture taken fairly quickly and go home. And as a photographer, it doesn't profit very well for you if you're spending 4 hours to take a portrait. You want to keep your costs down, less products to buy, less people to pay. The other reason I like to work alone is I'm a control freak. And if I work alone, I can control the situation. Where we're going to shoot, how we're going to shoot, how fast we're going to shoot, the interaction with the family, and out. It's less to travel with. And this is always a challenge when, especially for things like the Olympics, when you're traveling to Beijing or Vancouver and you're trying to carry a lot of stuff. It's brutal. Not only with the logistics of having to carry 50 pounds worth of stuff on your shoulder, but you have the whole issue with airline restrictions and trying to fly with a lot of gear. I don't know, anybody here check their gear when they fly? It's okay, they insure you up to $500. You're good. Love that. Yeah. That would be 1/3 of that lens and 1/4 of that lens. It doesn't really work. Yeah, one flash and you're covered, yeah. Actually, my camera bag probably costs that much. So you want to make sure that you're traveling light and efficiently. And really, honestly, it is less to go wrong. And like I said, there's a lot of frustration when I've got multiple lights and I'm trying to trigger them and all that kind of good stuff. So here's the basics, and we're going to go through these in detail, each one of them, but it's about the light. And this is true regardless of what you're shooting, right? I mean, the Olympics is cheating because NBC designates perfect lighting at every venue, right? So, and the Kelvin and everything else. So you just show up and you spray and pray. Yep, that one's good, okay, and you're out. Even like in the press centers, it's just perfect lighting. They make it easy. And it's funny when I tell people that sometimes shooting a bar mitzvah or a wedding or a portrait is harder than the Olympics. They look at you like, what? But sometimes that's true. You want to learn, so we're going to talk about light, ambient light, and adding light to ambient light. We'll talk about that. Learning how and when to use flash. And learning how to use a flash is, I think, sometimes harder than learning how to use a camera. And learning when not to use a flash can be equally difficult. So I'm going to show you samples from that. Focusing on the eyes is almost always critical unless you're doing some very artsy thing where you're trying not to. Typically, if your eyes are not in focus on a portrait, you don't have a portrait. So you want to focus on the eyes. You want to think about your background. And this is something that as a photographer, the years go by and you get better at it, you start seeing beyond your subject. And the other thing is when you get to an environment, let's say it's a park and you're outside, you know exactly what to look for. When I shoot portraits of kids, there's a temple in Los Gatos, California, where I shoot a lot, and they go, "Oh, are we shooting over by the memorial section where all the other photographers are?" And I go, "Nope." And they're like, "Why?" "We're going to shoot." I go, "By the dumpsters in the back of the temple." And they're like, "You're serious?" I go, "Dead serious." And they look at me like I'm insane, which I am. But there's great green foliage back there. If you shoot at 2.8 or f4 and you move them away from the foliage, it becomes a beautiful green background. And I use that to my advantage. So wherever you are, you want to be able to look at lighting and background and be cognizant of it. Try shooting off center, and this is a mistake that novices make, because they tend to center everything. And one of the reasons is your focal point sometimes is that center dot. So you have to learn how to focus on that and then move, shift, or whatever, and then shoot. So you actually want to use that to your advantage. Rule of thirds, we'll talk about that. Getting in close, good framing. You know, it's funny, because when I first started photography, I always heard photographers say, you got to make sure that you get your framing correct in camera. You don't want to crop later. And I thought, well, why not? You can crop later. Then you realize that every time you're cropping later, it's costing you more time. So if you shoot it right the first time, it actually does help. Let's talk about that. Correct editing is very important. I am anal about my editing. I do all my own editing. I know other photographers that say, oh, Jeff, you should just job it out. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Like, I want to finish my work. It's only half done if I shoot raw. I want control of that image because it's only half done. And I don't want to give someone something half done. And I also don't want to trust someone else to make a decision on white balance or whether they're going to get rid of grain or turn something black and white. Here's what kills me. I had a family who purchased a digital image from me the other day. And I saw the mom on Saturday when I shot a bar mitzvah. She was visiting. She was one of the guests. And she was, oh, we just did our invitation and we turned it black and white. And I'm thinking, crap. I would have turned it black and white for you because I would have done it correctly. All she did was she just went in her software and said grayscale. I would have controlled the grays and the blacks to get it right. She'll be happy with it, but it's going to irritate me for another week or two. So correct editing is important. And the other thing is have fun. This is always my top tip. Have fun with what you're doing. Have passion for what you're doing. And that comes across. And what's amazing when you're shooting a portrait is if you're having fun, they're having fun. And I will tell you that if you're stressed, they will be stressed. And guess what you'll get back in your camera? A stressed out person. And one of the things I love to do when I'm shooting a portrait of someone is turn the camera around. Adult, kid, whatever. You shoot their portrait, and typically you'll get this from kids. I don't take good pictures. You turn the camera around, you show what they're getting like, and wow, I kind of like that. Now they're at ease. They trust that you're not going to make them look stupid or bad. Now you got them. And now you can go shoot for another hour or half hour, whatever, and have a field day. But you have to have a smile. You can't be panicked. Yesterday, I was sitting in my hotel room, dying from presenting for 7 hours in the morning, relaxing when I got a text message saying, you're on your way, right? To Unique, over in New Jersey, 1 hour from presentation time. I won't tell you the expletives that came out of my mouth going, it's today. So you don't panic. You get in a cab, and I tell the guy, I'll give you $150 if you get me there in an hour. He is done. And we got there. Thank God for the iPhone. I was GPS. I was telling him where to go. Okay, now turn left. But we got there. And the thing is, when I walked in, I wasn't like all stressed out, like, oh my God, this is bad. I went in, and we had fun. And that's part of being an event photographer. You can never, ever show that you're panicked. If your camera's not working, don't sit there and swear at it. Figure it out, relax, and keep going, because that will come across. Breaking the rules. I'm going to tell you certain rules today, but you'll also see that I break them. And that's part of the fun of photography. It's trial and error. It's digital. Anybody here shooting film exclusively? One person. Okay, don't listen to this. Shoot a lot. It's digital. If you don't like it, erase it. And shoot on Lexar, of course. I had to throw that in. Here's my equipment. This is pretty much what I carry. I forgot to add to this one. I actually had it in this morning's presentation. I also just bought the Sigma 120 to 300, but it's not a portrait lens I'd be using. The ones in red is what I carry when I go shoot a portrait. I leave most of my stuff at home. The one I use 90% of the time is the 70 to 200. I love that lens. Love it. I carry the 24-105 for a little wider shot, or if I'm doing family. I use it in the 85-1.4 because I love shooting wide open at 1.4. I carry 2 flashes because I carry one on each camera. And of course, having backup is a good thing. I do carry my tripod. Don't always use it. It does lock you down a little bit versus having the freedom of just moving around and being more creative. But there are times when, if I'm doing a family shot, I'll want to leave the camera on the tripod, walk over, reposition grandma, grandpa, whoever, and then come back and shoot. I do carry lots of cards. We just came out with the 1000X cards. I'm shooting with those now, but honestly, most of the stuff that you'll see here is shot with 600X, because this is just coming out next week. And I just got mine this week, or 2 weeks ago. But it's awesome, because I have a 128 gig 1000X card. I can shoot 150,000 JPEGs on one card, which I will. At the Olympics, I'm gonna use the 1DX, the new Canon. It's got 2 slots. Second slot, I'll put a 128 gig card in it. I'll shoot JPEG to it. The first slot, I'll shoot RAW. That second card will stay in there for half the Olympics, just archiving everything I'm shooting. It's gonna be awesome.
How many RAW files?
RAW files, tons. Probably 30,000. Let me tell you about a typical shoot. If I'm shooting a wedding or bar mitzvah, family pictures in the morning, 1 card. Service, another card. Party, 2 cameras. Actually, so I use 2 cameras in the morning. So I carry a long lens, 7200 on one, 24 to 105 on the other camera. So if I'm shooting portraits of the one person or mom and dad, and then they go, let's get all the aunts and uncles, put that camera down, grab the other one, the wide lens. That way I'm not having to switch lenses, I'm just boom, boom, switching. So I have those 2 cards in the morning, 2 cards for the service, 2 cards for the party. So 6 cards in a day, typical. Portrait shoot, I might have 1 camera that I'm using primarily. There's another one in my truck or my car for backup. But the 1 camera, 1 card, and shoot and go.
Why do you do that instead of having 1 large card for everything?
Why do I not shoot the whole thing on 1 card? Well, for one, I have 2 cameras. And the other thing is, it's more of the ability to say, when I shoot in the morning, I go home, I put those aside, download them and put them aside, grab 2 new ones. And part of it is I have a lot. And that helps. I mean, you don't want to shoot with 1 card. I don't shoot with 1 of anything. I've got backup flashes. When I project, I have actually 3 projectors, 3 flashes. I have 2 5D Mark IIs, a 40D, a 30D, a 50D. I mean, and I don't carry all those with me, but you have to, as a professional shooter, you have to have backups, God forbid. I have 2 tripods. I carry I have 2 screens. I don't know why. Never use a second one, but they're cheap. So I just carry one just in case. I have, I don't know, 4 low pro bags, lots of hard drives. This is my equipment afterwards. Mac Pro Tower, 30-inch display, solid state drive for my hard drive, which if you don't have an SSD, or if you don't know what it is, it's basically like having a giant memory card replace your hard drive, and it's wicked, wicked fast. It is unbelievable. So it triples the speed of Photoshop. It's pretty amazing. So I use the Crucial one, which is owned by our parent company, Micron, parent of Lexar. I have tons of hard drives. My house, I think I now have about 40 terabytes at my house, which is kind of ridiculous. I'm thinking about creating a server farm for Google at my house. Not really. I've got 9 terabytes on my computer, 10 terabytes on my Drobo, and then I have multiple 4 terabyte drives, which I take back and forth between my home and Lexar. So if there's a fire, I have my images. Remote backup is very important. And I talk to photographers who go, don't worry, I've got backup on all my images. I go, where? Oh, my house. Well, if you have a fire, they're gone. So I have every image I've ever shot since like 1998 that's digital, and it's all stored. Hard drives are cheap now. No reason not to keep backing up. I do have lots of readers. I have 4 readers on my Mac at home, and I have a bunch of travel ones. But again, I got lots of those too. But having a high-speed reader means that you download way faster if you have fast cards. So that's critical. Epson R2000 is a printer I'm using at home. And if you're in the earlier session, I talked about how I like to print immediately and bring the family a portrait same day. It's a pretty cool wow factor. Love that. And I'm absolutely addicted to Wacom tablets. Completely and utterly addicted to the point where I carry them. I travel with one. When I go to the Olympics, I have them in each location. One in my condo, one in the press center, one by water polo, whatever. I'll have it all set up. But if you haven't tried a graphics tablet, try it. It'll cost you a couple $100. It'll save you hours every day. It's because it's pen sensitive. It's a natural motion, and if you push harder, your brush gets bigger. If you push lighter, it doesn't. And so, like when you're cloning things out, like if you're getting rid of stray hairs, it'll cut that time in about a third. It's cool.
It's only for like Photoshop.
For Photoshop and those types of applications, yeah.
Not much in Lightroom.
It would help. Here's a weird thing. I use my Wacom tablet for email. I just don't use a mouse anymore. It's a little weird, but I'm a little weird, so there you go. It's all about the light. Hey, what a surprise. Anybody here, does that shock anybody here? Please tell me no. Good. Start with the light you have. So here's the thing, people say to me, do we need a flash? I don't know. Let's talk about it. If I take a picture of you guys in the front row, nope, I don't need a flash. Anybody from third row back? Yeah, I need a flash, because it's darker back there. So first thing my brain's doing is looking, I'm thinking, okay, ISO 3200, I'll get you guys. Nope, even at ISO 3200, I'm not gonna get you. So my brain is already calculating what I need, depending on what light I have. When I wake up in the morning and I have a portrait shot, my favorite thing to do is look out the window and see what? Overcast skies. And you get this one. Jeff, this is Mom. Julie's ready for a shot, but it's not looking very good. And I'm like, are you kidding? I prayed for this all night. If you have clouds, you have what? You have a giant softbox. I think it has a B&H logo on the clouds. I'm not sure. But I wake up in the morning, I'm like, please be overcast. My wife even knows. She'll wake me up. Time to get up. It's clear. Sorry. But really, I mean, having overcast skies means I have no deep shadows under the eyes. I don't have to worry about diffusing it. We can shoot almost anywhere. Life is good. Unless I'm looking for bright sunlight with hair light, then it's a different story. Now, I can't control Mother Nature, so you go with what you got. You need a bright sunlight, then you turn around, face away from it, use some fill flash, get some hair light, and you work with that. And we'll look at some images like that. But you start with what you have and then build from there. Okay? Adding to the light without being obvious. This is the one thing I see is probably the biggest mistake that new photographers make, is they add too much light. And what you get is that pasty white, nasty, overflashed look. Who looks good like that? A clown. Who said that? That was pretty funny. No one looks good like that. I mean, it's really, it's adding a touch of light. As I said in the earlier session, it's like spice. If you add too much salt to something, you can ruin it. But if you put just the right amount of spice in, it'll add to it. And so that's what you want to do with your flash, is you want to learn how to control your flash to turn it down or turn it up, typically down. Okay? And be creative with the light. Don't always have to do the obvious. Here's a shot I took in New York. This is over by the Meatpacking District on one of my other trips here. This is my cousin's niece's fiance. And we went out, we found this cool wall. I had him sit there, and I thought, you know what, I really don't want to add any light to this. We have some side light coming in. I was shooting with another photographer friend of mine, and she was setting me up lights everywhere. And she goes, you can remotely trigger off. I'm on channel 1. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And I shot it this way. It's more dramatic. Just like this. If I had flashed it, you'd see a shadow behind him. I would have filled in his face, but I don't want to see all of his face. He's not that good looking. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I mean, he's a good looking guy, but I don't want to see it all. I want to add some mysterious piece to it. And if you look over on these screens, you'll see, you can still see his face. This is a little bit darker here, but it's still there, but it adds a dramatic flair. This one here is my friend Bob. This is taken in my living room. And behind him is all kinds of stuff that you don't see. And the reason you don't see it is I shot it manual. If you look at my settings, at f16, 200th of a second, at ISO 100, if I didn't have a flash, what would that picture be? Black. It'd be a black bear at night. It'd be black. So what Bob's other hand, what you don't see, is he's holding a 580 EX2 flash with a little softbox like this, and then doing that look, and he's holding the flash nice and close to him, and I popped it off to one side just to create some dimension. But because he's in my living room, I didn't want to show all the junk that's behind him, so I metered it black, added the light to it. This one here is my son and my 2 nephews looking at the computer, right? Computer's not even on. Kind of weird. What I did was I taped a piece of paper to the front of the computer screen, white paper. Then I took a Canon 580 flash and I gelled it with some red and blue plastic gels. And I put it there in remote, and I fired it. Every time I fired the camera, it was bouncing off the white piece of paper back at their face. And that's what lit them up. You'll notice the logo, it's not even on. I thought about that afterwards. I should have lit the logo. I still could add it in Photoshop, but it's dramatic. It's different. This is a shot of my niece when she got married. bright sunlight. One of the things we hate to hear, right? I'm having my wedding, it's at noon. Thanks. And I'm her uncle, so I could yell explicitives, I could say things to her. But I said, okay, great, we'll do that. So what you don't see in this shot is my wife is holding her veil. And my brother-in-law, who's like 6'2" or something, I'm like, oh good, Matt, come here. And he's holding a diffuser over her. So he's diffusing the light so we don't have these harsh light. And then I actually popped a little bit of flash at her, -1 stop. So I turned the light down. And just to fill in a little bit on this side of her face, on this far side here, I already have light coming this way from the sun. So I add a little bit to the side. When not to use your flash. This is also critical because when not using your flash, you can do some really cool stuff. This is a shot I took in Hawaii. Went to a luau. Again, it's a little better on these screens here. But I went to a luau. Actually, I didn't even go to the luau. Take that back. The luau was going on at the Marriott. I just happened to be, they don't block it, so you could stand way back and look. I took my 400 millimeter lens, my 100-400 Canon lens, at ISO 3200. I pointed over there and shot this. And I wanted the light of the fire to light him up and to rim him like it's doing on his arms. I could have flashed it because it definitely would have reached, but it would have ruined that image. So I left the flash off and shot this. And the best part was I showed it to the guy the next day. I said, hey, who runs your luau here at the Marriott? The guy goes, oh, Bob, or whoever. So I go over to Bob, I go, like, check this out. He goes, oh my God, can we have that for our website? Sure. Give me your email address, I'll send it to you. He goes, can you shoot more for us? I said, yeah, why not? That's what we do, right? I love shooting. So I shot a little bit. Next day, we went and I shot. And then the last night we were at the hotel. We were guest of honors at the best seat, all free. Anybody, the whole family, come along. My kids are like, Dad, you rock. So, could turn into good things. This one, I shot this image 2 weeks ago, or last week, 2 weeks ago. And what I wanted was, I wanted a shot of her, but I wanted to see the candles. If I flash this, what would happen to the candles? Bye-bye. I wanted the ambient light, I wanted the candles, and I wanted this picture of her. I really like this shot. This is shot with a Sigma 8514, one of my favorite lenses. Love this thing. Like I said in the earlier session, it's like half the price of Canon's 8512. It's lighter, and I love it. Let me show you the original shot. Look at her. That's because I didn't flash. So what I did was I went into Photoshop in Adobe Camera Raw, and I used the brush, and I just went in and I lightened her without changing anything else. So I lightened her up, and then I did some skin smoothing to get rid of any noise. So the difference between that and that is just amazing. You want to make your subject comfortable. This is really, really, really important. The number one reason that I get hired is people look at my website and they say, wow, you really capture the essence of who that person is. That's really important because we're not shooting pictures of us, we're shooting pictures of them. So you got to make sure you capture that. If someone's a goofball, capture them being a goofball. If they're serious, that's what you're going to get. Some people don't like to smile. You know what? Some people don't look good when they smile. I shot this model in Brazil, and she smiled, and I kept shooting, going, I just don't really like them. And I said, just give me a serious look. And I was like, that's you. That's who you are. So you got to capture that. So my favorite example of that is this shot. This is a kid named Ross. He's 13. It was before his bar mitzvah. His mom said, I want a portrait session with him for a signature board. Great. So it comes out. He's in a dress shirt and a tie. And we shot for about 45 minutes. It was okay. Not bad. And then it was toward the end of the session, and he was getting cold. So he took his tie off and stuff, and we were done. He puts his wrestling sweatshirt on. He leans against this post. I turned around. I'm getting ready to pack up my gear. And I said, stop. Stay right there. And I grabbed this shot. Guess which one they used for the signature board? Why? That's him. That's who he is. And if you look at the look on his face, he's totally comfortable. When he's in a tie, he was not. So when parents ask me today, what should my kids wear? I say, what do they like to wear? Who are they? Or here's the other one I love. Should I wear my glasses? I don't know. Do you normally wear glasses? All the time. Wear your glasses. And if a kid is self-conscious about it, then we'll shoot with and without, and you can choose which one you like. But I really want them to be who they are. If you take their glasses off, but the only time they take them off is when they sleep, you're not doing them any services because that's not who they are. This one here, Another 13-year-old girl before her bat mitzvah, same park as where I shot Ross. And you look at that smile on her face, that's real. Do you know why she's smiling like that? Because I thought, I really liked slowing the shutter speed down and getting some of this water, but there were a bunch of leaves over here. So I said, hold on, I'm on a tripod. So I run over and I move all the leaves out of the way, because it's easier to remove them than Photoshop them. So I took them out of the way. Well, guess what? The water changed direction and is going right up her backside. And so she's like, ah! But that was the shot. Just goes to show you can't control everything. Being comfortable. I'm standing over these kids. I just shot this recently. This is a Christmas picture for, I play hockey. This is a guy on my hockey team. These are all his kids and stepkids, I guess it would be. And I said, we wanted to use the fall colors. It was November in California. Because, California, we can shoot all year round. We don't have this cold weather. But I'm standing over them. I mean, that's kind of a weird, like if you're a kid and you look up at some goofy guy is like going like, okay, look up at me, right? You got to have their trust. And you have some fun. This girl had a shiner like you wouldn't believe. I removed as much as I could. She took a soccer ball right to the face the day before this, which is a good thing to do before a family portrait. So we cleaned her up a little bit, but they better be comfortable with you. Using your flash outside. And this is something I do all the time. It really freaks people out when you do this. It's like when I shoot with my flash inside and my flash is pointed toward a wall because I want to bounce the light. I don't know how many times people come up to me and go, sir, your flash is pointed the wrong way. Oh, really? I didn't know. Or the best one was, as I mentioned, I'm shooting for USA Water Polo at the Olympics. So I've been shooting their US Open for them. So I went to do the group shot of the gold medal team at the US Open. This is down in Southern California. Get all the guys together. And there's probably 12 of these guys are Olympians. And I'm get down, and this is the group shot. They want this shot within 10 minutes of the game's over to put on their website. So I get them down, and I have them facing away from the sun, and I'm going to fill them with flash, because that's going to look better. So I meet her for the background and get nice blue skies. I get down in position. One of the dads of one of the athletes comes over to me and goes, no, wrong direction. And I won't tell you what I wanted to say. But I was like, I got it. And I wanted to scream, I know what I'm doing here. But I love that. The dad comes up to the photographer and tells me, you need to turn all those guys around. Everybody else does. I don't want that. I don't want sunlight right in their face. It was pretty funny. So you'll get that. So you want to use a flash outside, but you got to know how to use a flash outside. Make sure you stay under 1/200th. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go above that shutter speed, depending on your camera, give or take, it won't sync. You will blow out your image. You'll end up with a polar bear in a snowstorm. You'll end up with a white image on white. So you want to stay within a sync speed unless you know how to use high-speed sync on your flash. In high-speed sync, instead of doing one big pop, it does a bunch of pulses and lets you shoot at a high shutter speed. So if you're shooting a guy on a motorcycle going by, you can use a high-speed sync. But typically, for the average portrait, stay under 200th. Sometimes I'll cheat. I'll go to shutter priority, I'll set it for 200th of a second, and I know I'm good. But then it's controlling your aperture, which you may or may not want. Faster shutter speed, high-speed sync, as I talked about, turn down your flash to avoid unrealistic light. And again, this is the biggest mistake people make. If someone looks at your image and goes, oh, man, you flashed, then you probably did it wrong. Unless they're a photographer and they go, okay, you came from a little bit of extra light here and a hair light there. But if someone looks at your image and goes, wow, you used a flash, right? Then you might have put too much into it. Bounce light if possible. How many people here know a guy named Dennis Reggie? He's an awesome wedding photographer. He does what he calls foofing, where he bounces light off walls and ceilings and all kinds of stuff. He's crazy. He'll go 100 feet this way, off that wall, back onto this wall, and he gets amazing images. But you can bounce light, and there's times when I'm taking portraits where I'll have Mom, who goes with us, I'll have her hold the reflector over here. I'll point my flash over at the reflector and bounce off of that back at the person. What's that? Dennis Reggie. It's D-E-N, one N, D-E-N-I-S-R-E-G-I-E, or is it two G's? He's really, he does all the Kennedy weddings and stuff. He's amazing, really good. And he teaches that. And what he does, this is an example of having light, a directional light, coming from one side. I actually, on this one here, did put a flash remote off to one side and popped it. This is the same girl that you saw in the pool when she was a little bit younger. I've been shooting Bridget since she was 6. She's now 22, 21, 22. Great to have a model who lives 4 doors down, because you can just call her and go, hey, you want to shoot? Yeah, boom, we're off and going. This is a direct flash. This is my kids when they were younger for a Christmas picture. And I added just a touch of flash to light their faces, but if you look at the image, you really don't see it. And that's what you want. Funny story about this one is my son was not wearing that hat. Actually, he was wearing a hat, but it went flat on him. So we went in the backyard the next day, same time. I had him turn the same direction, even though this is a park about 2 miles away. I had him turn the same direction. I shot pictures of him with the hat, and then I photoshopped the hat off his head and put it onto this one. What you do for a family picture. It's tough being a dad who's a photographer. Do you guys get this where people are like, Connor, your hockey game is at 6. Is your dad coming? I get that all the time. I shoot more of my kids' sports, swimming, soccer, hockey, field hockey, you name it. And when I broke my foot, my own hockey team, well, you can't skate. Hey, you want to bring your camera? And there you go. This one here, I love this. This is an image I shot at a good friend of ours' wedding in Yosemite. I saw this months before when I went there. I saw this spot and I thought, oh, I got to shoot there because I think the reflection would just be awesome. So I shot this picture, and now I'm really far away. I'm on the other side of this pond or lake or whatever it was, and I'm shooting with a 400 millimeter lens, 100 to 400 Canon. And I wasn't all that happy with the image. So I told my wife, she was standing next to me, I go, I'm gonna turn the flash on. And she laughed. She goes, your flash? They're way over there. I go, yeah, watch this. Turn the flash on, TTL, didn't do anything. Boom, took the picture, changed the image. People underestimate how far that flash will travel, because you don't see it, it's daylight, but it will make a difference. That's right, good point. But it will travel there and back, like more than most people expect it to. Now, I could have done other things to make it even brighter. I could have zoomed the flash and done some other stuff. I didn't even need to. But it lit them up and separated them from the background just that much, just enough to make it that much better. So don't be afraid to use your flash. When I go to the zoo, take pictures of the animals, which is a fun thing to practice on, by the way. You go to the zoo, you turn your flash on, and you'll be amazed at the difference of the animals and how they look. The other thing, great trick if you go to the zoo, bring your keys, your car keys. You ever want to get an animal's attention? Shake your keys. Do you know why? The person that feeds those animals, how do they open up the cage? The keys. I guarantee you, you'd get a lion's attention, boom, they'll look right at you. Yeah, actually, yeah, don't get too close. San Francisco Zoo is a whole different story with tigers, but yeah, it works. But I use a flash. And again, people look at you like you're insane because you're pretty far from the animals. It'll light them up, gets rid of those kind of dark areas, make a difference. Rainy day. This is another friend of my son's who's now my go-to model since Bridget's in college. So we wanted to go out shooting, start raining. She goes, oh, darn. I go, no, that's not darn. Let's have some fun. Get an umbrella. Went out to the train tracks. And I will add this comment. I got an email from the Railroad Association Safety, blah, 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 saying, please don't blog about railroad tracks and photography. People get killed all the time. They're rarely used, and they told me that that's even more dangerous because rarely used means you don't know what schedule they're on. So I'll give them that. But we got 2 miles of direction either way, and I'm not shooting with an iPod in my ear, so I'm listening. So I will add that for them. But we're shooting this, having fun, and I am adding a little bit of light to her because adding a little flash is filling in her face on that. This one here I shot recently with her and her horse. Again, adding about 1 stop down of light just to fill the horse's face and her face and give me less shadows, evening it out a little bit without overdoing it. So I shoot this, 2.8, definitely adding some flash. You can see there's a little bit of brightness coming from the flash here. I could darken that if I wanted to. But I'm lighting her eyes. The other thing that flash gives you is the catch light in her eyes. If you don't use a flash, you don't get that. And I've seen people show how you can do it in Photoshop by manually adding it. Yuck. I don't like that. Do it in camera if you can. But believe it or not, that little dot of catch light adds to that image.
Do you have a diffuser on the flash?
Say again?
Do you have a diffuser on the flash?
Do I have a diffuser on the flash? No. When I shoot outdoors, it's funny. I tell people I never pointed flash directly at someone. If you're shooting indoors at night, that's how you make people look really bad. But outdoors, you don't need to diffuse. I'm just going straight at them. I'll just turn the flash down in its power. This one here, I added flash for 2 reasons. I wanted to freeze them in their action. I love this shot. This is, so I shoot for the San Jose Sharks sometimes. This is the head conditioning coach for the Sharks and his kids. But I love this expression. You know, just all of them are having fun. I just told them, go ahead and throw the leaves. And I wanted the kids to throw the leaves. And so Mike's like trying to show his son how to do it. And I got that. And I was like, okay, that's precious. And I am using a flash, and the flash is freezing the action. If you try to shoot high motion at 100th of a second, you're going to get all kinds of blur. So there's a little bit of motion in his hands, but the fact that I got the expression is all I'm really looking for. Okay, here, as I mentioned before, if you don't focus on the eyes, you probably do not have a portrait. The eyes are the windows to the soul, right? And people are drawn to that. When you look at an image, if the eyes are soft, and I see this all the time, people will show me their portfolio. What do you think of this one? Well, it's good, but the eyes are soft. So you look at this image here. This was taken, this is a friend of ours' daughter. We were invited to their birthday party, and of course, what did they say? Can you bring your camera? Yeah. I get invited to a lot of parties, which can be kind of fun. It's funny because I shot my own sister's wedding, and people were like, why? And I'm like, well, you think I can sit there and not shoot it? Like, I mean, seriously, man, you know, it's what we do. It's my blood. And it drives my family crazy. We're going to go to Yosemite. Dad, don't bring your camera. I'm like, yeah, right. Kids. Anyway, so I'm sitting there. I'm at this party. I'm shooting some pictures. This little girl is standing in a kitchen looking out a screen door. Not a very pretty background by any stretch of the imagination. But look at those eyes. Now, she had her hat on. I had a 7200 in my hands. I'm on a couch at the side to her like this. I turn around, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the light in her eyes. No flash. I just went over, I focused right in her eye, and just bam, I shot. Then she did that, she grabbed the edges of her hat. I didn't even ask her to do that. I shot some more. But you, where's your eye? Your eye is looking right. I know your eye's looking, your eyes are right here. If that was soft, that would not have been an image.
What's the distance here between camera and her?
I was probably pushing the limits of a 7200. I was probably 3 feet from her. I mean, seriously, I'm sitting on the couch, I saw that. That's the other thing about photography. Look in all directions. And I can't tell you how many times you go to Yosemite, there's Half Dome, and everybody's going, oh yeah, they're taking pictures. And there's something amazing behind them, and they don't get it. Look around, look up, look down. You know, you might be on some very cool leaves. I mean, this up, you know, it's amazing the stuff I've shot that's unique because I took the time to actually turn around. So I just happened to look and I saw that look in her eye, that light. Common mistake with photographers is they shoot their subject. They're so enamored with their subject that, oops, we're not seeing the background. I can't tell you how many times I've shot. You've got garbage cans, stop signs. It's like the city has tried to sabotage me. Let's put more stop signs up, you know, or let's put more garbage cans. You know, I mean, it's like you have to work around that. So now when I shoot, I know I'm looking at subject and background every time I hit that shutter. So, does it add to your image or does it distract from your image? Like I said, if you find some great foliage, it could add to your image. Garbage cans, generally not. Can you move your subject or yourself? If your subject is in the right place, by moving your subject 1 foot can make all the difference. Or, God forbid, we use human zoom and we move, right? And that works. Target asked me to do videos for them. Those will be coming out, I think, in about a month or so. And I'm doing little 2-minute segments on how to shoot, very basic stuff. And one of them was I took a picture of a girl, I shot a picture of her, I had her move 1 foot and shot her again. And I swear to you, it looks like 2 different locations. Night and day difference in the image. So moving yourself or them, do the colors complement the subject? If you have someone wearing green, maybe you don't want to go in front of that green bush. So think about that too. If they're wearing light colors, maybe you want a dark background or vice versa. Will it change with time? I'm shooting, it's noon, I have horrible light, but I've got this model for 3 hours. Maybe we should go into the shade, shoot there. We'll come back here in 2 hours and we'll shoot here next time. So I'm going tomorrow. I booked a ticket just this morning to the 9/11 memorial. What time did I book my trip my ticket? 3:30. Why? Because I want to go there when there's sunlight, but I also want to be there during sunset and potentially night, unless I freeze my backside off. I'm from California. We're not used to this. But I want to be there for different lighting. So I planned it around light, and I'll walk around, and I will shoot the same thing and come back when it's darker and do it again. Because I'll look at the back of the camera and go, I really like that angle, and I like that angle. I'm going to hit those at 4:58 or whatever sunset is. Bless you. This shot. This is in Melbourne, Australia. Great eyes, great outfit. Red complements the green. Those trees in the background were really ugly. So I'm in the train about, 8 rows back through the window, pointing back at her. She is a model, so I asked her what to do. I said, go ahead and hang out of the window. Don't look at me. And I shot it at 2.8. You can see because it's out of focus on this first rail, and it's out of focus behind her, but her eyes are sharp. And so what I did was I used that background as a complementary color, but I didn't want to see the details because they were kind of like ugly trees. This is my sister's wedding that I told you I shot. They got married in Colorado. And here's the thing, when I shoot subjects, I generally don't try to control the situation, I let it happen. In this case, they were inside eating or dancing or something, and I looked outside, I'm like, oh my goodness. So I went in there and I said, come on, we're going outside. And she says, no. I said, you're my sister. Shut up, we're going outside. And I dragged them, and they didn't want to go, and of course now they're glad they did. So a lot of times I'll try not to control that situation or drag people out, but this was just, you can't pass up that sky. So I told her, and then of course what happens? You shoot this, and everybody else sees you doing this, and then my cousins ran out with their family, and we just started going. And of course, you get the last family, right? Now it's pitch black, there's no more color in the sky. Can you do ours? Sure. Horrendous. Short window. Oh, here's the other thing. Come on, let's go outside, it's a great light. Just give us 10 more minutes, so we're eating. You don't have 10 minutes, honey. You got about 30 seconds. And I made him run. I know you're in your wedding dress, but it's me. I'm your brother. There's no respect. Come on. This one here, this is a captain of the fire department in San Francisco. So I wanted to utilize a background. I thought, what could I do? So what we did is we put him in front of the fire truck, and I said, can you guys turn the lights on? And I used the rotating lights to add some effect, and the red kind of gives you the idea that he's in front of the fire truck. And then I flashed him, again, probably -1, just to light him up, otherwise he'd be a silhouette, and got that shot. Background, why did I do it here? Because I want to know what season it was. Just like with the other kids, they're all Stanford fans, what can you do? They wanted their picture taken, they're good friends of ours. And so I wanted to show the fall colors. It's taken October, so I used it to my advantage. The dreaded group shot. How many people have heard this one? Can you take our photo? There's 38 of us. It gets worse. Can you take our photo? There's 38 of us. The youngest one is 6 months. And there's 6 of them. Group shot. Group shot can be a pain, but it can be fun. The challenge of the group shot is lighting a group shot. Because if you want to control light on a subject, like the people that you're seeing in these photos, it wasn't that hard. But you get a large group, it can be a pain. So this was a bat mitzvah. There was actually a thing of water in front of me. So I used an 85, crossed over the other side of the water and shot this, and I actually did flash this. Got pretty lucky lighting everybody pretty evenly. But I'm telling what to do. Everybody coming closer. This kid decided to climb up there. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, I don't care. Have some fun. The other thing for group shots that really works well, of course, is straight down on them. So if you have a large group, get up high. You can tell there's a balcony here. So this is me up there. I'm up pretty high, shooting down on them, and that works. The other nice thing about that is your flash is going to diffuse pretty nicely, so you get lighting on everybody. A little bit of Photoshop work here. This was a brand new venue, had just been opened like 2 days before. Half the grass wasn't there. So I took the grass from here, cloned it to here. I mean, the things we do as photographers, right?
So, a group shot, how many times do you take a shot? Because I always have a problem with the eye.
Good question. Group shot, how many do I take? 1. No, not really. Lots. When you have a group shot, I will, well, actually, I don't care what the group, if it's a group of 2 or 3 or 1, I'm taking multiple images. Here's what I hate. You see someone, they're in Yosemite with their family, they get everybody together and they go, cool, all right, let's go. No way. Right, your odds are diminished. Professional photographers shoot lots of images to get the one that we really like. You guys are seeing my best work. There was probably 10 of these shots, give or take. I will shoot typical group shot around 6 or 8. And the reason I do that is try to get everybody's eyes open. Now, if you look at this, you will find there's probably someone who doesn't look good. Girl in the red, not great. This boy, baby, look in the wrong direction. Babies, they never look at you. The key thing doesn't work for babies. If you have a lion in front of you, the baby may look. Or actually, the lion would probably look at the baby. Anyway, but inevitably, you're not going to get everybody's attention. You're going to try your best. And you could clone. I could have taken that girl from a different picture and cloned her in from the other shot. And there are times when I'll do that. Or I swap. If I've taken 6 images, I had a lady that I shot on Saturday, I'll get to you, who was a blinky. Like, I swear, over half the images of her eyes are closed. So if an event that happens, I can always clone her out of one picture and move her eyes in from another one.
Did your flash freeze them? They look pretty clear.
Yeah, but I'm at 50th of a second. They're holding pretty still. My flash is helping to freeze them as well. But I had some good ambient light. I was fine.
Sometimes I tell them, close your eyes and I
You can do that too. You can say, everybody close your eyes. When I say 3, open them. If someone's a squinty or a blinky, you can do that, and that will help. And I've done that too. Especially if I'm shooting into them. If they're looking at a bright light, even like my strobes or something, I'll tell them, close your eyes, and they look at you like, what? But I had a mom I shot 3 weeks ago, and she said, I always have my eyes squinty. So I did that. Close them, I'll tell you when to open them. Sometimes the problem is then I get bug eye look, which isn't much better. Getting uncentered, kind of story of my life. So getting uncentered. This is a picture I took of my daughter. This is in Millennium Park in Chicago. If I had centered this shot, it wouldn't be as cool. Because you need to see the rest of these empty seats to get, and your eye is still going there. And so I told my daughter, we snuck in, there's police tape, you weren't supposed to go in. What do? Shoot first, ask for forgiveness. So when the cops came, and they did, they said, you can't shoot here. And I turned to the camera and I said, but look at this picture of my daughter. He goes, that's cool. He goes, all right, keep shooting. I'll tell you when to leave. And then we ended up talking to him. I almost bought him lunch. Hey, whatever it takes, you do. But I told my daughter, I said, I really want to do this shot. So I focused on her, moved the camera a little bit, and she's like this in her seat. This was, I don't know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I go, hey, Allie, Hannah Montana's on stage. And she went like that, boom. And that's the shot I took. I shot this at the Winter Olympics. This was Katie Lang. That's Katie Lang. And I showed a shot the other night of just that I took with a 500 millimeter lens. And you don't have a choice when you're at the Winter Olympics. You are in position A, B, C, or D. And that's where you're stuck for 9 hours. And I was in position B, which had this view. So I wasn't moving, but I wanted to get something unique. When this came out, I saw that I had the Olympic rings, kind of dark, but there. Everybody's lights on. And I saw this close-up of her and her here. I really liked the way that worked. So I purposely shot it with this, so your eye would be going across the Olympic rings to get to her. This is one that was in Lexar brochure. This is actually an employee of Lexar who's got a Harley. So I was hanging out of a BMW, and we drove back and forth, I don't know how many times, at different speeds to get this shot. This I did not add. That was just pure luck.
You panning?
No, I wasn't panning. I was staying right with him. I just kept telling the driver, 40 miles an hour. I told him 40 miles an hour, and then we tried 35, and I just would, hope that we got it. So we tried different shutter speeds to blur stuff and get it right. And again, having a little off-center, it shows you where he's going. Looking at the details, details are important. Don't just look at the obvious things. And I'll tell you, I'm guilty of this at times, where I'll be shooting something. I was shooting Bridget, the girl in the pool. We were shooting pictures of her in her prom dress or something. And my wife goes, oh, look at her shoes. Get a picture of just her shoes. I didn't even see it. My wife saw it. I didn't see it. So we have to remember to look at those details. Look all around you. As I said, don't just look forward. look behind you, look up, look down, think about creative ways to do things. When I go tomorrow to the 9/11 memorial, my goal is to shoot something different than what everybody else is shooting. Because everybody else is going to shoot the wide shot of the fountains. And there it is. That's not what I'll shoot. I'm going to try to do something different. I'll blog about it, I promise, if I get good images. Step outside your comfort zone, and I do this quite often. The minute we get stuck in a rut, photography is no fun. So try things. I went to Times Square. I stay in Times Square most times when I fly out here. I've shot Times Square till I'm blue in the face. So my friend goes, let's go to Times Square. I'm like, oh, great. But she hadn't shot there many times. So we went there. So what I did, I only brought a fisheye lens. That's all I brought. That's outside my comfort zone. I got some really cool shots. I don't know if I have any in here. But I shot through one of the hot dog stands, showing the cabs. I did things that were different, and it was fun. And I went to, I forget what buildings I shot, but you can get some really different perspectives shooting fisheye. So this is I'm shooting friends of ours, prom. I liked just this. I zoomed in and shot just that. Now, is this the shot she wants to show mom and dad of her at prom? Maybe not, but I don't care. I liked it. You guys shoot for us too. This shot here, this is another guy that works for the Sharks, or used to, now works for the Minnesota Wild. This is his daughter. And I was showing him how the 50 1.4 lens works. And if anybody doesn't have this lens, it's probably the best deal on the market. Canon and Nikon both make the 50 1.4. It's under $400. And it's just a great lens because you can shoot in really low light. So we shot portraits of them for about an hour and a half, and the sun was gone. Sun had set, it was getting dark. She was sitting underneath a staircase, so it was even darker. So I'm telling him, I can still shoot that. And he goes, how? So, and I have this weird sickness where I want to teach everybody photography. So I showed him. I said, watch this. And I took the 50-1.4, his daughter's sitting there, and I shot it. And I'm like, that's a cool shot. Just something to play around with. I was shooting the Olympics, Team USA against China. First hockey game, women's game. I'm shooting the game. During one of the breaks, I looked over and I saw this kid. And I was in love. I mean, look at the colors and the face. I just couldn't stand it. So I went over. First thing you got to do is ask the parents, is it okay to shoot a picture of your kid? And of course, they're excited because I'm credentialed photographer. What magazine is going to be in? I go, I don't know yet. And there's okay. And I shot it. I also got their email address and I sent it to them. Something I always do. When I'm in Berlin, when I'm in Sydney, Australia next month, inevitably, every time I'm over at Sydney Harbor, there'll be people trying to take a picture of their family in front of the Opera House with their point and shoot with a flash. Love that. Yeah, we're going to light up the entire Sydney Opera House and skyline with this thing. And so a lot of times I'll just say, get in there and I'll shoot it for you and I'll email it to you. And I don't charge them. I do it because I love doing it. But this one here, it was so precious. I shot it. I did send it to them. They were thankful. They actually wrote back and said thank you, which is really nice. I can't tell you how many times I've done this favor for people and emailed them and you never hear back from them. It's kind of weird, but whatever. This one here, this is Talia. I did her bat mitzvah. This is afterwards at our party. She went to look in the mirror and I said, oh my gosh, stay right there. I did use a diffuser on this and I shot this, but it looks like two different people, doesn't it? Kind of weird. Love that shot. That's her dad's favorite shot. This made a 2-page spread in their album. It's also on his iPhone as his screen. Looking at things a little different. Editing tips. Yeah, you can clean up skin, but people who are old earn their wrinkles, don't remove them. Otherwise, you start looking like some of these Hollywood actresses that do way too much to their face and they don't look good. Don't overdo it. Cloning out distractions, yeah. But if there's an exit sign way over here, and I've got someone's picture here, and it's diffused, so it's just kind of a green blob, that might work. But if it's clearly says exit, and it's coming out of their head, or here's the other one, tree trunk, coming right out of their head, I'll try to clone that out. Sharpen details. The eyes of those girls that you saw have been sharpened selectively. I don't sharpen the whole image, I'll go in the eyes and just sharpen them. A touch, not too much. Adjusting color and contrast, for sure. What's interesting about the Olympics is we're under contract. We're not allowed to touch your images. You can adjust the brightness and contrast and stuff, that's it. There's no cloning allowed. If you clone, you lose your credentials. So in hockey, when I'm shooting the San Jose Sharks game, I'll get a killer shot of a guy doing a slap shot, but in the corner of the frame is a guy's skate that happens to be sticking out. I'll knock it out, because I don't want to crop it because I like the way it was. Can't do that at the Olympics. You either crop it or you send it in the way it is, just the way it goes. So you learn to kind of shoot as good as you can without having to adjust. Here's my daughter. I set up a little backdrop at my house, testing some new studio lights, which I usually don't use studio lights, but I thought, what the heck? So we're testing them and playing. I said, you really need to do your eyebrows. So I photoshopped them. This is the original image. Do you see the difference? See a little bit? She went out the next day and she had them done. Just goes to show. It's subtle, but it's there. A little skin smoothing, a little cleanup of, zits or whatever. We call it zit zapping. We're good at that. I shoot a lot of 13-year-old kids. By the time I'm done editing, I know every zit on their face. I'll go to the next image, I go, okay, I know this one, there. I know what they are. I can map them. I wake up in the middle of the night. Oh. Skin smoothing. This is a baby. Do you skin smooth a baby? I did. I actually did. You would think to yourself, you don't need to skin smooth a baby because it's a baby. It's barely been outside. Well, you know what? The skin smoothing actually gets rid of the modeling of light, where you have light and dark spots, and kind of evened it out. And it really worked. So what I tell elderly people when they say to me, can you smooth my skin? Yeah, I can. I can do it. Matter of fact, don't feel bad, because I even do it for babies. That works every time. And it's true, it made a difference. Now, I will tell you, if someone orders a 4x6, I probably won't skin smooth it. This happened to be an employee of Lexar, his baby. I cleaned him up, worked hard to make him as good for him as I could. But I mean, typically, if someone orders a 4x6, you're not going to really see it. This one here I modified and turned it black and white just because I liked it. It was different. I was shooting a powwow in Stanford, California, in Palo Alto, and shot this. Like to turn it black and white, a little bit different. When you're shooting, this is probably the most important question that you'll get asked. What is your subject? And I don't care if it's a person. If you're shooting a creek with water, what is your subject? Is it that rock? Is it that pile of leaves? What is the subject? You need something to anchor every image, okay? Doesn't have to be a person, but you need to know what that subject is. So in this case, it's pretty obvious what my subject is. I was shooting a swim meet. This is in preparation before the Beijing Olympics. I was shooting a swim meet outdoors. It was the end of the day, sunlight was coming through, and I thought, wow, this is gonna be cool. I don't even know who this kid is. But it's the best stroke to shoot because they're out of the water. You know, freestyle, you don't really see. Michael Phelps, in the 50 meters freestyle, breathed one time. And he's quick, by the way. He's hard to shoot. So, was that? No, aperture priority, wide open, 2.8, right on their face, servo focus, because she's coming toward me, and firing off. And you can't shoot this one manual because she's going from dark to light to dark to light, depending on the sunlight. So I'm at aperture priority and firing off at a speed, watching my shutter speed to keep it to about 1,000th of a second to freeze the action. I usually shoot aperture priority, 90% of the time. Depends. I shot a bar mitzvah last Saturday and shot the whole thing manual because the light was going really wonky. So I metered it, figured out what I wanted, and shot a manual. But stuff like this, I'm trying to react to what's going on, the light's changing, I'm just going aperture priority. But here's the thing, the light was coming down, she looked great, I love the reflection off the glasses, her goggles. I shot this image, not even knowing who it was. The mom walked over to me afterwards and said, did you shoot my daughter? I said, yeah, and I showed her the picture. And she says, I want that picture. And the thing's enlarged like this big at their house. They really liked it. Just having fun. This shot here, this is race car driver, Dario Franchitti. He's looking very serious. He's actually tying his shoe on his tire before the race, getting those special shoes on. And I love the reflection of the target race. I was shooting for the target race team. Love the reflections glasses and shot that. This is one of our sales reps from Lexar. She loves ballet. I said, bring some stuff. She forgot. She went out and bought all new stuff, and we went into this really cool hotel and we shot these pictures. And I like the fact that she wasn't looking at me. I had great ambient light from a window coming a different direction, and we just shot that. Okay, having fun and breaking the rules. And I like to break rules. That's a whole another story. This one here, I showed earlier at the other session. This one is breaking the rules. This is shooting a reflection into the glass of someone who's standing 10 feet behind me. But it's different. And the key to being a good photographer is differentiating. You show this to the family and they go, oh, you actually understand how to control your camera. Oh, you're looking at things differently. That's cool. This one here, dragging the shutter, getting some motion. I love doing motion shots. Matter of fact, if you look at my blog, I was in Boise in December shooting pictures of Christmas trees. And the best way to shoot a Christmas tree is to shoot it out of focus, because then it's really cool. But I was twisting the camera and doing all kinds of fun stuff. And you get some really cool effects. I was even shaking the camera. And if you look at the blog entry, you'll see some really cool, interesting things, because I'm trying to do something different. This is one where I laid down on the ground, 16 to 35, using a diffuser, pointing straight up, telling everybody, hey, look over me, this is the DJ. I'm like, boom. First time I ever laid down on the floor and shot. And now I do it once in a while, kind of fun. This is a really weird one. This is a self-portrait. I buried my 5D Mark II in the back of my refrigerator, timer mode for 10-second timer, pre-focused to about 2 feet, and then cleaned out the refrigerator so I can get a view. I love my Diet Coke. I'm addicted. It's my one big vice. So I put that there. And then I put the camera on a towel so I could angle it good, put it 10-second timer, and then open the door and act like I was reaching in. Why did I do it? Just because. I don't know. Fisheye, 15 millimeter Sigma fisheye. And I put it on my blog. I want to do a blog entry about how to, how to use a fisheye lens. I thought, well, how can I show that? So there you go. Okay, this next shot, I had to put in here. We just got a puppy, and it's a Labradoodle. And Cooper, he's a little mischief maker. So he decided that we weren't paying enough attention to him, and he was going to dig up my backyard. So my wife, I'm in the computer room, and my wife yells to me, get out of here. Now, my normal reaction is, what? And I'm like, whatever. So I go look, I'm like, oh my goodness. So here's the challenge. I'm dressed like this in khakis and stuff, and I'm thinking, do I want to go out there because this dog's going to get me filthy? So I shot through the glass, and I thought, no, this is just too good. So I opened the door and just hoped he wouldn't jump on me and shot that. You couldn't have a makeup artist make your dog look cuter or funnier than that. So portraits aren't just about people. Portraits are about anything, right? Yeah, this one here went viral. All our friends were like reposting on their Facebook pages and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, I love it. A little bit of catchlight in his eyes. I had him smile. No, I'm sorry. So it's all about, and the thing is, the key thing is, it's not just about shooting people. Really, portraits can be anything or anybody, but take advantage of what's in front of you and react quickly, because sometimes you don't have a chance to reframe. And I actually got the shot. He was pretty good about sitting. I got the shot, and then we tried some other stuff. But it was quick, and I got what I wanted. I got lucky. Part of it's luck, and part of it is practice. Here's the thing also. If you want practice on shooting portraits, don't practice on a paying customer. Take wife, daughter, kids, neighbors, whoever, and say, let's go shoot. And trust me, there's a lot of kids, especially girls that are hams, that love to have their picture taken. Tell them, I will give you all the portraits you want for your Facebook profile, because that does it every time, and go out and shoot. And if they don't work out, figure out what you did wrong, or try something different. Try bouncing the flash, try no flash, try having them close, try different lenses. That's how you'll learn. Trying to tell someone how to drive a car by reading a manual doesn't work. You gotta put them in a car and have them drive. And the same thing is true with your camera. You read the manual, it doesn't make sense. Don't rely on the manual. Use the manual as a guide and go out and test it. There's a book by Jay Dickman. It's called Perfect Digital Photography, like $30, and it describes how the camera interaction of aperture and flash and stuff very, very well in human terms. He doesn't speak in technicalities, and it's really good. It's actually one of the books I recommend to anybody who wants to start learning how to shoot a camera really well. I read this book 6 or 7 years ago, and it was like a light bulb went off in my brain, like now I get this and this and this. Perfect Digital Photography by Jay Dickman and Jay Kinghorn. Half the book is about photography, and half of it is about Photoshop and editing, which is kind of cool. So, this is my email address. I do answer all my email. If I'm traveling overseas, there might be a delay of 3 or 4 days, but I do answer all my email. How many people are on Facebook here? Most everybody. If you go on my Facebook page and just like my Facebook page, anything I update, like the pictures of the puppy or people or portraits or sports, will go on there. I also have my blog, and I have a new feature on my blog at the top where you can put your email address in. And anytime I update my blog, it'll just email you the article. And I do put shooting tips in there. So a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here, like here's how I shot it, or here's what I was thinking when I shot this image, I'll put in there. Like I shot an image 2 weeks ago where I had the kid really off-centered in the image, and I explained on the blog, I shot the off-center because it would be a perfect cover to the book, because the rest would be the back of the book, where we could inset another image. So I'm trying to explain that there's actually something between these two ears, which is really good for your clients. You want to explain to your clients that it's not just hitting a button, that you're actually thinking. Ansel Adams said the most important feature of the camera is what's 12 inches behind the camera, right? So I try to put a lot of tips on there. And then my website, I've got my portfolio up there and everything. You can go to my website. Everything is linked from my website, so you can just go there, Facebook, blog, and everything else. All right. Thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something.
For more information, please visit us online, give us a call, or stop by our New York City Superstore. You can also connect with us on the web.